Hey everyone, it's True Review! Right here, with another top 10 list. And picking up the animal theme that we had a while back with top 10 video game dogs, this time round we have the top 10 cats in video games. Which is well timed too, as there is a literal feline turf war going on in my garden at the moment, over which of the neighbour's cats has the right to dump in it. Yep, they may be cute, but I'm literally having to put up with their shit. Anyway, the rules for this list are, as usual, only one per franchise. Humanoid or robot cats also count on this list, as do big cats, as well as the smaller domesticated ones that we're used to. We good? We good. Hit it! Dusty! Dusty is... well, Dusty is probably more than just a cat in Gravity Rush, if I'm honest. Cat gains a lot of her gravity-related powers from Dusty, so it's quite possible that Dusty is actually some sort of higher being, or possibly a god, but has chosen the form of a cat for whatever reason. But the funny thing is that Cat's powers do seem to resemble Cat's superstition and characteristics. For example, her powers allow her to always land on her feet, scale on top of buildings and walls, and her name is almost spelt cat as well. Perhaps she also has the right to roam, and it wouldn't surprise me if she's also taking part in this turf war over my garden too, but anyway, Dusty is basically a cat god. Nibbles! The Witcher 3 does include several cats that you'll encounter during your journey, but all of them share a similar characteristic in that they'll just leg it the second you home into view. I presume this is because they can tell that you're a Witcher and can smell the death and danger emanating off of you, while the rest of us dumbass humans can't pick up on that. Except for one cat, and that is Nibbles. Nibbles is the only cat I can think of in The Witcher 3 who doesn't seem to mind Geralt at all. While all others will leg it at the sight of him, Nibbles is quite happily minding his own business of licking himself and staring at Geralt all the while. Funny thing is though, is that this cat does make further appearances throughout the game. Though you first meet him at Oxenfurt, he does show up in other places later on in the game too, including some of the expansions. Pretty much the only chill cat in the game. King Tom! King Tom the 14th is the king of Ding Dong Dell in the first Ni no Kuni, and like with all other rulers you come across in that game, he's heartbroken the first time you meet him. But after putting his heart back together and chasing out a rat who's trying to start some sort of coup, King Tom returns to us fully in both mind and body and lets us know just exactly what kind of person he is. And I'd imagine that if all cats could talk, they'd talk exactly like Tom does. Everything is in the third person, everyone around him are his subjects, and though he isn't trying to come across as having a superiority complex, and certainly means well, he definitely does place himself as the most important person in his world. Well, that and a saucer of milk. The saucer of milk is in second place, by the way. Big the Cat! The Sonic franchise has added in new companions and characters over the years, but I'd have to say that, as sad as it is, Big the Cat is probably the most forgettable one of them all. But his name is certainly accurate. He's a cat, and he's huge, probably being the biggest character in terms of height and width out of all of them, not counting Eggman. Big is a tough and determined character, showing far more strength than anyone, maybe except for Knuckles the Enchilada, as I like to call him, and his height and strength do justify his name. However, he's also an incredible softie and quite naive too. If you've ever had a cat that just wants to sit on your lap and receive attention, but can cause damage when it feels like it, well, imagine a bigger, talking version of that. And that's Big the Cat. Meowth! Oh god, shouting that out just now was really embarrassing. Once again, I have to apologise for the lack of visuals for this entry, because Nintendo are content pirates, and YouTube is the 18th century Caribbean Sea for them, and no way will I let my videos get raided, so this will be a quick entry I'm afraid. Meowth is a cheeky yet lovable Pokemon who's obsessed with money. Or to be more specific, your money. Its primary attack when you face it in the wild is to cause moderate damage while making you drop your wallet. Incidentally, if you catch one, you can make your opponent bleed both hit points and cash. Sweet Shalquoir. I'm gonna blow your mind right now in saying that talking cats are nothing new to the Dark Souls series, as Dark Souls 1 had a cat in it that was actually terrifying! But Dark Souls 2 kept up this trend by including another one in it which wasn't so terrifying this time round. In fact, this one's pretty cute now that I think about it. Yes, she does provide you info about the game itself and will occasionally mock the player, all the while minding her own business by scratching at the wall and tending to her hygiene. I'd imagine it's hard living the life of a talking cat by trying to intimidate the player by mocking them over what's about to happen, while the human you're talking to keeps interrupting you by saying stuff like, "Kitty! You're a kitty! Who's a good kitty?" Tiny Tiger! Tiny Tiger, on the other hand, is one cat you don't mess with. Unless you're a marsupial wearing shorts and trainers, of course. First introduced in Crash Bandicoot 2, Tiny Tiger was named ironically due to the sheer size of this Tasmanian tiger, which are usually much smaller compared to a standard tiger. Tiny is a powerful beast and not one to be trifled with. Unfortunately for you, however, he's working for Dr. Neo Cortex, meaning that you're gonna have a boss fight against him at some point. In fact, the first time you fight him in the series, you can't even do any damage to him yourself, forcing you to get him to hurt himself. He's incredibly tough, though not too bright in the brains department. Cait Sith! Mary Cait Sith Nashley is a party member who joins you at the Golden Saucer in Final Fantasy VII, and is probably the most interesting one of the bunch here. For you see, Cait Sith isn't technically a cat. He's actually a mechanical cat who, instead of walking or running around, has opted to ride the back of a very large Moogle while being controlled himself by a different character. Because of this, it's pretty hard to gauge whether or not Cait Sith has an AI of its own, or if it's 100% under control from this other dude, but it's just funny all the same when you stop to consider the fact that you're trying to stop Sephiroth from destroying the world, while a cat on top of a larger cat/bat hybrid with wings is fighting by your side, shouting orders from a megaphone. Morgana! The Persona series can't go one game without a mascot character. Persona 4 has Teddy, Persona 2 has Machina. Dude, you're such a weirdo! And Persona 3 didn't have one because it was trying to be all dark and shit until it realised it was being too dark and shit and gave you a dog that can carry a knife. But Persona 5 gave us Morgana, so there's no need to pout. Morgana first appears as a small cat-like creature that can talk and is very adamant about two things. One, that he's a guy, and two, that he's human. Dude, you're a cat. Or at the very least, a cat-like being that can talk. That is until you go back to the real world where Morgana has followed you and, yep, definitely a cat. During battles, Morgana originally acts as your intel gatherer. Having said that, outside of battle, Morgana will spend most of his time not letting you out of the house and trying to get you to go to bed, instead of calling up your teacher to clean your room and to make you curry. Yes, that is actually a thing in this game. But regardless, Morgana comes in at number 2, which means that... Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. Mike the Liar! Could only have come in at number 1. There was no question about it, and no one else could have ever hoped to have taken the number 1 spot over him. Mike is kind of like a talking Easter egg in the Elder Scrolls series. First introduced in Morrowind, this curious Khajiit has made an appearance in every major Elder Scrolls game ever since, including Elder Scrolls Online. Though not acting as an important character, when questioned, Mike will tell the player about strange things he's heard or opinions he's formed. However, though what he's talking about bears no resemblance to what's actually happening in-game, he's often not even referring to anything that is included in the game. Mike is essentially the developer's reaction to certain questions and concerns that players have raised over the years regarding the inclusion or expulsion of certain aspects, such as werewolves, levitation, not being able to fight while riding horses, or even certain concerns about last-minute changes to the finished product. However, as his name implies, Mike is a compulsive liar and his word cannot be trusted, despite how funny or interesting it is. And considering that he has appeared in several titles, all of which cover well over 200 years of Elder Scrolls history, we can't even be sure if it's the same guy each time. But putting all of that aside, Mike the Liar comes in as number 1 on this list. And that's all we have time for this video, but if you're kind of like a talking Easter egg, then like this video and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget that I'm on both Twitter and Patreon, and you can find the links to those in the description below. Before I go, I want to give a quick shout out to Leah for sponsoring this video and supporting the channel. It really means a lot to both me and the channel, so thank you very much. But with all that said, I am out of here. So until the next video, see ya!
Sometimes I think this life is killing me. Sometimes I think this life is killing me.